Xbox is dying, and the reason is one you may have overlooked. There have been tons of rumors flying around about Xbox recently. Granted, many of them are fake right now, but those that are real are kind of forecasting a very pessimistic future for the company, and that's putting it lightly. But why is this, and how long does Xbox reasonably have before they meet a dire end? Well, recently Xbox made the worst decision they possibly could have made and announced that they're planning to put their games on other platforms, including, but not limited to, their biggest competitor, PlayStation. This simply enraged their loser fans, with many of them furious that their favorite Xbox exclusives could soon be joining, at no extra cost, their mortal enemies, the PlayStation gamers. Xbox is now sending 4 games over to the PS5 and Nintendo Switch, and of course, their community reacted in the most mature way possible, taking to Twitter to boycott the company and acting as if the world was ending. Imagine your major company being held hostage by a bunch of sweaty nerds who invest their time in a console war. Phil, you have my sympathies. This all led to an emergency podcast episode that was supposed to assure and win back the fans that had literally rebelled against them, but to me, this just exposed the same greater problem with the company. They don't have a plan, and they're running out of time. It's not all doom and gloom necessarily. Xbox sales did jump upon the launch of Starfield. Of course, this doesn't say much about the game itself, but it does show the power of hyped exclusives still. There were some promising signs for Xbox earlier in 2023 with the launch of Starfield. Xbox console sales in the UK, for instance, raised sales by about 76% in a week. But in that same article, they note this came right off the back of a trend from the previous month where Xbox console sales had decreased by 23% since the start of 2023. Today, we now see Starfield as an it's okay game, certainly not the system seller many had hoped for in Xbox, but what's important to understand is that Xbox doesn't have an issue with marketing. In fact, they're actually really good at promoting their brand and staying relevant, but what they do have is an issue of actually delivering on hype. Halo Infinite, Starfield, you can rattle off any big Xbox title, and you always see a lot of hype and promises, but never any delivery. Either the games come out and are just okay, or they don't come out at all. But PlayStation, in comparison, is the exact opposite in this regard right now, and they're actually constantly attempting to improve on their faults too. For years, many an Xbox fan had been clowning PlayStation for not being able to make a live service game. But guess what just happened? Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is what just happened. What looks to be a major successful live service game for PlayStation finally. And this isn't where the lineup ends. They keep just putting out bangers constantly. PlayStation has been able to push their console market share and is simply just a dominant force in the industry right now. The issue for Xbox is that there's just no system sellers at all. Now, I'm not saying that one game will magically solve everything or that there aren't any good games on the Xbox, especially right now. But when your entire identity and fan base was built around this console war nonsense, when you try to build a community and intentionally foster this loyalty in that community, you gotta follow through and have something for the average gamer to actually bite into and not just cater to your diehard fans all the time that'll play anything with a green X on it. But Xbox has none of it. Just a lot of okay games in their Xbox ecosystem. This fact led Phil Spencer, the CEO of Xbox, to essentially admit that Xbox cried uncle and gave up. Quote, "It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console shared shift in some dramatic way," Spencer said, adding, "We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation." Phil continued in early May of just last year, saying that Xbox isn't in the business of out-consoling PlayStation. Quote, "We're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or out-consoling Nintendo. There isn't really a great solution or win for us. And I know that will upset a ton of people, but it's just the truth of the matter," he said. "When you're third place in the console marketplace and the top 2 players are as strong as they are and have, in certain cases, very discreet focus on doing deals and other things that will make being Xbox hard for us, as a team, that's on us, not on anybody else." So, with all that being said, you would think that a major part of the plan, being based around physical consoles for Xbox, is just kind of out of the window. The man himself has stated the direction of the company is probably going to be consoleless, right? Well, no. actually, because the very next month, Phil said Xbox is adamant that consoles are, quote, critical to Xbox's business going forward, saying that dedicated gaming hardware is the, quote, future of Xbox. But Xbox never actually pushed their consoles, and still don't. Phil has had a bad habit of week to week, month to month, constantly changing his mind. This trend has been constant for Xbox, where Phil seemingly goes on depressive episodes yelling from the rooftops that the sky is falling and that he'll never win the console war, and then changes his mind and says things that make you think, oh wait, so now you're gonna try and out console PlayStation? Why are you doing this to my brain? Article after article will tell you about how the console sales for Xbox are down, and Phil doesn't care, but all of a sudden he actually does care. Their strategies are just all over the place. Things are changing month to month, and I probably don't have to tell you this, but that's not a good thing. The overarching issue for Xbox has been that they don't have a plan at all, it seems. And this podcast episode did little to assuage anyone's concerns. There seems to be very little in the way of long-term planning at Xbox right now, just a lot of adjusting the deck chairs on the Titanic. And we can go even further back to uncover the exact same issue in 2020. Phil said the main focus of Xbox wasn't their consoles. Instead, they wanted to focus on the Game Pass and cloud gaming, stating, Game Pass and cloud gaming are Xbox's focus now, but not to the exclusion of consoles, at least not yet. Does this sound any different to what we're hearing in clips like this?
But it is this view that people are going to play Xbox in multiple places. Whether it's play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want, whether it's content, community, and cloud, whether it's when everybody plays, we all win. Like, we've had different taglines, different strategy, kind of words that we've used, but always with this view that Xbox is a platform for creators who want to reach the most players. Our investments in xCloud, our investments in franchises like Minecraft and now Call of Duty and other large franchises so that we learn how to build those. This has been a strategy that we've been on for, I'd say, a decade. It's not about one device. It's not about games in service of a device, but rather the devices that people want to play on should be in service of making the games as big and popular as they possibly could be.
Well, see, the console is a really vital part of our brand. It's really, really important. But it's not like we don't necessarily care if it doesn't sell well. But the clouds are also really important in our business. But it's not like the most vital part, you know? Like, it's a focus, but also not like the focus. Like, we don't make games in service to a single device, but the console is also vitally important to our business.
So when we look at opportunities to allow more people to play, more people engage, more people to buy, more people to subscribe, it's all about putting Xbox in the best position. And our hardware is a critical component of that. The absolute best experience somebody has on Xbox is hardware that your team builds and that people play on. But that's not going to be everybody. We fully accepted that we're going to have Xbox players across all kinds of devices.
As you can see, the plan is very distinct and defined. Only a fool couldn't see it. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and assume that there is, in fact, a plan. But what exactly is it now? Let's try to define it by dissecting their own words by using the podcast as our basis. Okay, so the master plan starts like this. Put your games on other systems to leech off actually successful consoles right now. Xbox is putting the feelers out and are going to try putting 4 games on other platforms, the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation specifically. Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, Grounded, and Hi-Fi Rush will be making their debuts on other platforms. Phil says they want to learn from the experience, i.e. they want to see if it helps patch holes they have by not being more prominent in the console space. They're going to send 4 low-profile games over in an attempt to throw stuff at the wall to see what sticks. But at the same time, the plan is also to have certain exclusives possibly never move over. Phil said pretty much that Starfield and Indiana Jones will not move over to the PS5 in the podcast.
Can we say if either of those titles are Starfield or Indiana Jones?
They are not Starfield or Indiana Jones.
Okay. Perfect. So obviously the plan is to move 4 low-profile games over, but not your big hyped ones, right? Is it a puzzle? Like, do I go on a scavenger hunt? Phil, just when you say a thing, make it the thing. Like, say words and they mean something, okay? Like, I feel like I'm being mentally abused right now. For the first time, like, Xbox Console Warrior fans, you have my sympathy. I don't know how you put up with this. Okay, but more to the point, this plan, if we can call it that, is very weak. When a multi-billion-dollar company is just throwing stuff at the wall, that doesn't exactly inspire much confidence. It's obvious now that Xbox needs to see new revenue sources, and that's why they're trying to test out this. They've been burning through cash, making consoles, not pushing them, and then subsequently not caring if they don't sell well for years, I guess. This is Xbox showing what can only be described as at least a bit of desperation, and in my view, this isn't some kind of interesting experiment that they're doing. This is kind of a cry for help. Xbox was shown to have reported only single-digit profit margins, and for a multi-trillion-dollar company like Microsoft, I highly doubt that at this point, this is acceptable to them. Heck, Phil Spencer is basically begging PlayStation to help Xbox, something we all know isn't happening. From an IGN interview on Helldivers 2, Phil said, quote, "I will say, when I look at a game like Helldivers 2, and it's a great game, kudos to the team shipping on PC and PlayStation, I'm not exactly sure who it helps in the industry, but not being on Xbox," he said. "If you try to twist yourself to say, like, somehow that benefited somebody somewhere." Phil is now in the begging phase of his plan, apparently. But interestingly, the only solid thing I've been able to find from him on his plan was in this same article. Phil says, quote, "I have a fundamental belief that over the next 5 to 10 years, exclusive games that are exclusive to one piece of hardware, are going to be a smaller and smaller part of the gaming industry." So the plan is hope that one day that company that has a history of being hostile towards you just stops doing that. This is just stupid. Currently, the situation is shaky, to say the least, and it comes without assurances from Phil or anyone, for that matter. But once again, we're seeing the Xbox team talk about how important consoles are by referencing the next giant leap in tech we're going to see.
And we got more to come. There's some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that we're going to share this holiday. And we're also invested in the next generation roadmap. And what we're really focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will have ever seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions that they're building.
I spoke about this in my last video on Xbox, and I had to ask what the plan was to become the next evolution of a games publisher. Do you move on from physical consoles, or do you actually push the freaking consoles again with this new tech leap? But again, the double talk is near impossible to decipher again. So in the end, I don't know why Xbox is even still in the physical console game at this point. Move on, do the game publisher thing at this point. Xbox is again trying to divine the future at what comes after physical consoles. Cloud and the Game Pass is the thing they really want to take off. It may work, but yet again, it's really not right now. And I don't know if they're ready to move solely into cloud gaming at all just yet. Xbox still has the same issue they've always had. There is simply no plan moving forward, and now we're in the there's a chance this could save everything stage. If Xbox can't simply tell their own fans what is happening and give their console warriors, and more importantly, the casual fans, something to grasp onto, then what's the point of buying an Xbox? But that's my take. Xbox is still dying, and I'd love to hear all your comments telling me I'm just a PS5 fanboy or something. Whatever. Trust me, I can take it. Make fun of my forehead. It's really big. You can do that too. But thanks. Hey there. I was really far off to the left there. Just like my politics. I'm revolution. No, we're not. Never mind. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you did indeed enjoy the video. If you really liked it, how could you not? You could share the video on Reddit, Twitter, anywhere. Like, that would really help the channel out. Thank you so much for watching. I'm very sweaty right now. These lights are hot. But that also could just be my own sexiness. Just, sweating. I'm done. Like and subscribe. Share the video. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.